I think with the Night Stalker pickup, that is going to be Monster's hero. I can only imagine that Yudomi is now going to be on that Dawnbreaker. How does NoPing now solve that damage problem? And you ban out the Death Prophet in that end of that first phase. They're going to go from Rana Kunkka. And again, it feels like NoPing are upgrading their lineup so much more than in that previous draft. I think they've gotten an upgrade on pretty much every side. And now Rana Kunkka definitely fills out that problem a little bit more. But we are going to get into that same game where now D2 Hustlers, they're playing the vision game. They're playing the global strategy. It's a strategy we saw performed 2 or 3 times yesterday, except swapping out the Night Stalker for maybe the Wisp. But still, the same factor lies. You can set up very easily on these side lanes. You can crowd the map a lot of those times, and NoPing are not very AoE based. As long as that Ravage is off the table, if you can play in those cooldowns as something that NoPing really don't have. They're not able to constantly find those fights. It's really going to be Dark Mago again, putting the team on his back a little bit here. And I think that's where they're going to be able to focus down some more of Mr. Gene's hero pool, try to keep the counters out of their hands. But if they find him on a hero as comfortable as he was with that Death Prophet, I think we could definitely see a similar story to that early game. But I think it's incredibly important for Mr. Genes to put Dark Mago on the back foot. It just made their lineup feel so much better whenever Dark Mago was playing at that disadvantage.
Now, NoPing banned the Elder Titan to start off Phase 3, which I'm not entirely sure what they're thinking the third core would be in that scenario then, because the ET would either play as the support, or the few times you've seen it in a core role, it's been that position 3 hero. That would move the Night Stalker somewhere else, which is not something we normally see. So NoPing, I don't know, thinking that some trickery is at play here with the D2 Hustlers draft.
Yeah, it's honestly an interesting ban. Maybe they're saying, okay, Mr. Jeans might want to play the Elder Titan mid versus Dark Mago. At first, I thought that they picked this Monkey King to, again, try and circumvent this Kunkka pick. I don't think Monkey King versus Kunkka is honestly that good, though, for the Monkey King. I think, again, it's a 50-50 lane, and if you're drawing with Dark Mago, it feels like Dark Mago is typically winning in those circumstances. So it's definitely an interesting route to go in. I think maybe stylistically, again, we saw in the previous game in scant circumstances how effective the sleep was versus the Abaddon and the Tidehunter, where you get to ignore that part of the lineup a little bit. So they might be valuing those counters instead, but it definitely would make D2 Hustler's lineup feel a little bit lopsided. So trying to make a call off that ban is definitely a little bit difficult for me.
I'm not entirely sure what it is that they're thinking with that one, but we'll see if whatever this hunch that they have proves correct. They do have a second ban, though, and would not be surprised to see this one maybe fall more in line with what we were expecting them to remove, but they are taking a little bit of time to think this one over as well. So something about the D2 Hustlers lineup has them a little concerned outside of what maybe
They
we would consider.
They think it's safely Night Stalker. If they ban another 5, that's the reason they're banning like this. And it is a really good Night Stalker game, but that's the only thing that makes sense. That would end up being Monster Dawnbreaker, Devilama Earth Spirit. It would be a Yuma Monkey King, or sorry, it would be a Mr. Gene's Monkey King, and then a Yuma Night Stalker, and that's why they're banning like this. And that's why I guess they decided to split it off here, but that's the only way that ET ban makes any sense to me, is if they think that it would have been a safe lane Night Stalker, and then the heroes kind of fall in line with their players. But it definitely feels a little bit different. I also think historically, D2 Hustlers have always put Monster on that Dawnbreaker. I'm sure Yudomi could pull it off, but that's where I think that ban might stem from, where they're expecting that the history of D2 Hustlers say that Monster can't play Night Stalker and Dawnbreaker at the same time. And they do go for the Mr. Gene Storm Spirit. Okay, everything falls into place for him.
So, NoPing's concerns were maybe not unwarranted, but in Game 3 of this series, D2 Hustlers are going to go for what's maybe a little more comfortable. And Comfort and Storm for Mr. Gene's, it's kind of just really tried and true combination. So, you will be matching up presumably against that Kunkka, which means now NoPing, they need their carry, and they need a serious damage dealer right now. They've got to get somebody who can hit hard and hit consistently, and the Bloodseeker can maybe be that hero. I assume this is going to be Angel taking that, and yeah, okay, he will be. So position 1 Bloodseeker is apparently going to be their answer, and against the Storm Spirit, kind of meh, but against almost everyone else on the D2 Hustlers lineup, a well-placed Rupture could be quite the nuisance for them to deal with. Take away some of that mobility.
Yeah, it's honestly a really sick pick. It locks the Night Stalker out of the fights. It makes Yuma not want to play in his own monkey ring. It makes anytime the Solar Guardian comes out from Yudomi, you put a Blood right on top of it, and now two heroes are silenced. It really stylistically plays really incredibly well versus Hustlers. Again, the one hole in that lineup is this is a very free Storm Spirit game. That's where we're really going to need to see Mr. Jeans pull the weight. I think if he can actually get to the point where he is just snowballing, making plays everywhere. I think Storm is one of the best heroes versus Bloodseeker. It just plays so well versus the low HP Agi carry, and you can never really fix that with your items. You have to go for the Maelstrom, you have to go for the SNY and the BKB, and that's only if you get to ever hit anyone. That's where I think historically, NoPing have been one of the few teams that have been able to pull off the Bloodseeker, but it's still a definite risk. You can play versus 4 of your opponent heroes, but sometimes all it takes is a Vortex, and then you're just immediately taken out of the game.
A lot of pressure, as you said, on Mr. Jeans, but it's his Storm Spirit. It is one of, if not sort of the most famous hero for him. So if ever there was a time for him to really show out and really prove to us just what he can do on that hero, it would be right now to try and close out this series. But, well, we'll see what they can do, and we'll see for NoPing really just how much damage they get out of this lineup. Lockdown is mostly there for them, but it's going to be a matter of just how hard this Bloodseeker is going to be able to hit these targets. As we see the smoke play from D2 Hustlers, initially thought that was just going to be a play for mid, as we saw from them in the previous match, but they're going all the way over into the east side jungle, and, well, they see
Ooh.
Oscar there, but it's a little too late to do anything in that smoke play. I mean, they can stick 1 or 2 heroes around to try and steal a rune, but I think they were hoping for something a little bit more decisive.
Yeah, they just need to lead with Monster a little bit more there. He saw the Monkey King Courier, so he knows that he's in immediate danger. So it's a really good call from him to be able to get out as early as he was. But still, I don't think anything is really going to happen here. You even saw Pandaboo escorting Dark Mago to the mid lane, just in case there was some of that level 1 shenanigans, but everything should reset here. And D2 Hustlers, at the end of the day, they do have Monkey King versus Tidehunter. You're able to get those Jingu stacks off, and you've got a melee 5 as well to pair with it. So Yudomi is going to take a little bit of that pressure away from the Monkey. I think NoPing sticking on one target is going to be incredibly important for them. And nice heads up D ward from Yudomi as well.
Get that ward out of there on that river spot. So, excuse me, a little bit of a benefit there, as now, well, okay. Thought Yuma would maybe take one swipe at Oscar, but not really too much of a point to it. Hadn't skilled up the Jingu at that point or anything, so wouldn't even really get anything other than 1 right click's worth of damage. But we'll see how this bottom lane goes. Oscar and Sladen, this duo of Tide and Mirana, we have seen in the past what it's capable of aggression-wise. You catch a hero out of position, and all of a sudden that gush into the arrow can sort of do some work. But even if Sladen isn't able to find the aggression, you already see him use the arrow to take out that range creep.
Yeah, and that's what I was waiting for. Oscar just skills up the Anchor Smasher. I'm surprised he didn't cast it before he ate the brunt of that damage, but I think that's why we might have a pause here. It definitely felt a little bit awkward for him to not immediately cast it, but Slane already got the range creep. It's the reason you picked Mirana. You always get the range. You never have to worry about that deny. And unfortunately, Yudomi didn't have that heads-up vision on the Mirana, so it's a lot more difficult for him to shadow Sladen at this stage of the game. But Sladen can actually trade versus Dawnbreaker. It's a big benefit of this hero, and especially level 1. Yudomi's just going to town.
Boundless Strike comes in. Sladen has no leap, so he'll have to try and maybe turn for the arrow, but instead he's just going to go for the run, and that's going to be enough. Yudomi was playing pretty far forward, but there's only so much your Dawnbreaker can do at level 1, and starting to run out of HP there as well. So plays it safe, backs away, but that's going to draw out some of Sladen's early regen, and it's going to be okay overall. But if Yudomi can continue to play that far forward, once he hits sort of level 2 or 3 and gets maybe some points up in the hammer, could see a little bit more in the way of aggressive potential for them, especially if Yuma gets involved. But for now, Yudomi can get slowed up by the gush. Sladen has the arrow up in 1 or 2 seconds, though, so they weren't immediately ready to go in for that play. If they do connect with the arrow, I think they might have been able to find the kill. So A little bit fortunate
Ooh,
there. They
Yuma.
go for it anyway, but this time onto Yuma, a much more valuable target. Do they have the follow-up damage they need, though? That Boundless had the Jingu on it for the lifesteal, so Monkey King will survive in about 30 HP. Yodomi, meanwhile, with the Starbreaker, did push Oscar and Sladen back, and that is basically going to be a bit of a reset on the lane here. But the Monkey King, he only has tangos, no actual salve, and Yodomi doesn't have one either, so his healing is going to be a little bit slower. Although he does have the Jingu to maybe help him out on that front, but starting to see that aggression coming out from this 2 in the off lane.
Yeah, and I don't think they can actually make too many plays, but that is a lot of regen now off the board, and it just means that they're going to have to play that a little bit more defensive. Yodomi has spent a lot of time in the lane, however, and that's where... Oh, so much damage.
Oh. Okay. Just goes in with the hammer, and I honestly thought Oscar was going to just sort of fall back and be safe. He didn't have any regen, so he tries to fall back, but Yodomi just kind of catches him on the back foot, and that's a bit of an unexpected first blood, but a nice play from the Dawnbreaker early on.
Yeah, and it's that level 2 tick-up that we've seen a little bit earlier in the tournament, and you get caught off guard pretty much every single time. It's the inexperience. We're still very early on into this hero being in the game, and oh, if that arrow connects, that's so unfortunate. But yeah, Yuma gets the reset now, and Sladen's going to take some damage here.
Yodomi did have the mana for the Starbreaker, but I don't think they wanted to go much further at that point, but they just continue. Really kind of fighting this out here. This is very well handled by D2 Hustlers. Yuma is still farming. He's been able to contribute when Yodomi tries to get aggressive, throwing that Boundless Strike out from long range, and this duo has not been able to really strike Pater in the way that NoPing were maybe originally anticipating. And at least Oscar is still farming himself. He's a little bit behind Yuma, but he is still going to be getting some levels at this stage, which is honestly probably the more important aspect here for that tie, but you would like to be able to put a bit more pressure onto your opponents as well.
Yeah, I honestly think they're not too bothered, but it's also just because D2 Hustlers have done a really good job of forcing this aggression off of themselves. And unfortunately, Yodomi has not been able to block out any of Sladen's camps, so Sladen does just get to farm at the same pace that we see a lot of Maranas able to farm at, and that's where the game will really stabilize. There's no way for them to shut out each other at this point. The lane's gone too even, I think, which is not bad for either side, but just means that Yuma gets that much more farm.
Oscar, though, was able to steal that creep wave away. They took the camp, and then took the remnants of the wave back really onto his own side, so it gets him a little bit, but Yuma's just right up in his face, so not really going to be giving up too many opportunities. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the map, Angel honestly doing incredibly well for himself in his lane as well. Look at the deny count for him, 17 on the board for the Bloodseeker, so Monster, well, he's not massively behind, but he is trailing right now experience-wise.
Yeah, it's large in part, I think, because Devi's early rotations have not really been working out, as well as Bloodseeker being an incredibly strong laner. We've seen this many times before where a hero does get shut out a little bit in the lane, and you have to invest that a little bit more in regen, where very naturally he gets to do whatever he wants. But bottom, oof.
Jumped in onto Yodomi, able to take him down. Yuma now kind of caught in the middle. That's a big arrow from Sladen turning around. Starstorm's there as well. The Boundless doesn't come out in time. That's massive. Oscar got both of those kills as well, so all of a sudden your Tidehunter takes a nice step up there in terms of his early farm, and Sladen, I mean, that was played so well. The one leap charge he had left creates a separation, turns around, and just goes in for the stun and the damage, and NoPing, with that one play, have kind of turned this lane around.
Yeah, and not just that, you force Yuma to TP right back to the lane, which means that, again, the laning stage gets extended, which means that your incredibly one lane top becomes into an incredibly one lane for the next 5 minutes. That easy rotation out's no longer available to you, and it just means that everybody is going to have to really sit and stay. Just means that Angel, almost inadvertently with the plays bottom, is going to get even more farm. So it's huge and just perfectly executed. They were so aware of each other's cooldowns. That was such a tight play.
Monster get a little aggressive on the Panda in the top lane, but yeah, once he starts getting close to that tower, he decides to back it off. But, well, I mean, it is nighttime. This is when the Night Stalker wants to try and make some moves. The question is, where really, where can he go? He doesn't have any points up in the Crippling Fear, so if he tries to push onto Panda, he's just going to pop the shield on himself and in most circumstances walk away. He could try making a rotation to another lane at this point, but not really sure he has the itemization to really pull that off either. So he's just kind of stuck there. Meanwhile, down bot, Yudomi going to get hit up by the rotation from Dark Mago. Kunkka comes in. There's the X into the Torrent, into the Ghost Ship, and Dawnbreaker will be taken down. Devi had sort of made his way into this lane as well, but not in time to prevent his teammate from getting set up.
Yeah, and that's where Yuma has to play the waiting game. He's not really able to farm with this pressure put out, as well as Dark Mago doing a really good job farming the small stack that they had here. I think NoPing is the one that was actually stacking it up, but he is hiding himself very well. If Yuma is not careful, then with the Earth Spirit, you could get punished, but top on Angel, but
they're trying to make the play, but there's that Photic Shield. Panda's just there for the save. Mr. Jeans, though, still has some mana, and now that's going to be the Dark Ascension. They want to push in. Angel in trouble, dropping low. Can he somehow get away? No, he can't. Bloodright does hit onto 2, but by that point it's too late. So Angel does get taken down, but at the same time, yeah, that trio, they went in for Yuma and they got him underneath the tier 1. So largely trading things out across the map. Both carries being taken down, and now you see Dark Mako and Panda, they're TPing their way in here onto Mr. Jeans, who has very little mana, and by very little, I mean basically none. So if they could catch him, could try to set this one up. Ghost Ship's back up in 10. If they could keep him around, they're not going to be able to do so, but back in the bottom lane, well, Oscar and Sladen jump in. Devi gets stunned up and taken down. Yuma is here to try and help, but now there's that Rupture from Angel. Boundless Strike will still net him a kill, but can he hold his ground? He's going to try for the Wukong's command, and Oscar does not have a lot of HP. He's got to back off, so too does Angel. So Yuma is able to wait out that Rupture, but he may still be in some trouble here if NoPing can get sight on him, but they're not able to catch up in time. So Yuma will survive, took down Sladen in the process, but they were able to get that kill onto Devi Llama beforehand, so that's largely going to come out as a trade, but it's the Monkey King who gets some much-needed gold with that kill.
yeah, that was so tight from them, and you're forcing around your opponents in just the way you want. Dark Mago had a nice cool play top where he was actually using the Tidebringer to try and scout out where the storm was, but they don't find the punish there. They make the play bottom, they're unable to do it, and really heads up from Yuma. Skilling up his point at level 6. I think a lot of monkeys greed out for this skill build, and his skill build's not really good at farming, but still super big from him. But top, they missed the arrow.
Timing a little bit off there. That's kind of unexpected. Dark Mago has normally been able to sort of put those together, but don't hit at that time. Meanwhile, mid, there's going to be a Ravage out from Oscar onto a pushing Yudomi and Mr. Jeans. Mr. Jeans is able to get away, but Yudomi's kind of left holding the bag as he will be taken down, and well, that play gets broken up. First Ravage of the game, and I mean, you would have loved to get the Storm Spirit there, but just sort of shutting down that aggression and getting one kill to your name is going to work out pretty well for them. They get some D wards down as well in the immediate aftermath, so they stop the push, they find a kill, they can take a little bit of vision control in the area, and their cores now have a little bit more space to work with farm-wise.
Yeah, and that's where the failed rotations of NoPing, if you're not able to get some of these core kills, the game definitely continues to get scarier for them, especially with all of the vision they've placed in these lanes. They need to make those TP rotations, and that's why I feel like we're bouncing between top to mid to bottom, and trying to make a play in Dark Mago, but it shouldn't actually work out. But that's where D2 Hustlers, if they are allowed to farm, the other side of this coin is Mr. Jeans hasn't been making too many rotations. He made the one trip top and it was completely successful, but that's where the slower, more dodgy pace of D2 Hustlers is actually going to greatly benefit them, as well as a lot of their skill builds were very fight-oriented to deal with the NoPing aggression in those lanes, but once they're able to get a few more levels, they get to fill out their heroes, and you look at Yuma, who now has 3 points in Primal Spring, he's going to be right back there as a hard farmer.
And the Storm, worth noting, not even thinking about anything like an early Orchid. He's just going straight in for the Kai Assange. So,
Bottom.
They're itemizing for it. Nice play with Yuma. Devi rolls in. Can they clear out of here in time? For now, it looks like the answer is yes. And now Angel, he wants back in. The Rupture will be thrown down, and Yuma, I mean, he wants to keep that Wukong's up, but it's going to start running out of time, and he is getting hit up, but there's going to be the Solar Guardian getting Yudomi into the fight. They're looking to turn this one around. Oscar, he's kind of stuck on the other side of it, so Angel has no backup. Panda and Sladen can't help him out. Angel will fall. Sladen is going to get dropped here as well, as Monster picks up the double kill, and now they're going to be looking for even more. Yuma does have to sacrifice himself, but they are ready for round 2. Dark Mago, though, has that ghost ship, so they need to be careful. Can't group up too heavily, otherwise they could get punished by that play, but they know how low Oscar is. They desperately want that kill, but Panda healing him up with the Aphotic Shield as well as that Mistcoil, but now Mr. Jeans makes his way into the fight. Gets down that last little bit of damage. That'll be enough to finish off Oscar. Divine Llama gets traded out, but now you see NoPing starting to run out of gas here. Dark Mago is trying to get the damage out at this point, and maybe he can find 1 or 2 more kills, but now he is trapped up inside of that tree line, but Angel respawning after his previous death comes back in, drops the blood right. Yodomi goes down,
Ooh.
Monster will fall, and Mr. Jeans will die as well. Dark Mago picks off the ultra kill, and I mean, persistence pays off. Dark Mago waits and waits and waits, ET, for his reinforcements to arrive, and once they're there, he's able to clean up, but the level of patience to stick out in that engagement, especially with how low he got, that's kind of incredible levels of discipline from him.
And you take a look at him skyrocketing on the net worth chart. He even queues up a Radiance because he's really feeling himself right now. He is so powerful. He hits constantly 2, 3-man Tidebringers. The fight gets so dragged out, and it takes so long to kill him and Oscar that Angel gets to run over with 700 MS. And the cleanup crew definitely arrives right in time. Of course, Dark Mago got all the kills at the end of the day. It really does feel like he did the brunt of that work, but it's massive for them, and that is the one big advantage. Once you have this rum on you, Storm's mana pool, as much farm as Mr. Jeans has been able to get playing by himself, it's simply not enough. If you don't kill someone before the boat actually lands, or you have to kite it out, the fight gets so much more complicated. Now they're playing with Ravage. Okay.
They got onto Yodomi, they hit him up with the exit with a stun into the torrent, but there's going to be a nice Wukong's command, but Oscar replies with the Ravage, connecting onto everybody. They'll all clear out of that ring. And now, if you're Yuma, that was sort of your trump card. What else do you have here? He gets pulled back by the X into the torrent. Oscar obviously doesn't have the Ravage anymore, but he's still trying to act as that frontliner. Mr. Jeans, though, will pull him in. And they do manage to find the kill, and now it might break up a little bit. They're trying to fall back. Dark Mago is very low on HP. They need to be able to bring him down, but Angel now wants into the fight. Rupture down onto Mr. Jeans. They'll take him out. They're going to try to get onto Monster as well, but with the Ascension allowing him to fly away, he should be fine, but Angel wants to keep on going. At this point, though, this is still a fight under a tier 1 tower. He does not show enough respect to that. Yodomi with the Solar Guardian just drops on his head. Angel will fall, and now Slayton, he's just going to desperately try to get away with the leap charges, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Monster's just going to fly right on top of him, and Yuma gets the Boundless Strike for the kill. That felt like they were just trying to do too much. They were going for the home run play there, maybe get the 1 kill and back off. Instead, they go all in for a second round of fighting that they really weren't prepared for.
Yeah, and the two big differences between the mid and the bottom fight is that, one, the tier 1 tower is still alive, still chunking your heroes. You don't have the best armor on anyone, so tanking it is a huge factor. But the rum hit absolutely no one. I think the rum only ended up clipping onto Oscar, who still went down incredibly quickly because he was that much out further than the rest of his teammates. So you outrun your lineup a little bit there, and you get hard punished. That's a 4-for-1 in a very convincing fashion. And unfortunately for Angel, he had to rupture Mr. Jeans. Otherwise, I think he wouldn't have enough damage to actually take out the Storm Spirit. But that means that Monster has the simplest game in the world. He just gets to pop the Dark Ascension, hide around in the trees, and then reinitiate as soon as Angel almost, again, suicidally walks back towards that mid-tier 1 because he feels like, oh, I should be winning this fight, and then gets immediately turned on by the Solar Guardian. The response was just way too good from D2 Hustlers, as well as, again, NoPing running out of their abilities and running ahead of their abilities. I think if they go for those long fights, there definitely should be the team with the advantage, but the team fight ended maybe 10, 15 seconds too soon for them.
I think for the D2 Hustler side, I mean, they just do a fantastic job of recognizing that opportunity, because at first, I mean, the fight looked a little bit broken. Yuma throws down that Wukong's command, and the NoPing are just able to sort of all back out of it, but they realize our opponents are still kind of sticking around. Angel hadn't quite arrived yet, so they see their window, they push forward and just take advantage of the reluctance from NoPing to just kind of call it quits and back off. And now, relatively even on the kill count, net worth-wise, we're only sitting at about a 1k advantage for that NoPing lineup, and D2 Hustlers are starting to maybe get some of those items up and running. You see the Storm closing in on that Kaya Sanj. You've got the Echo Saber finished off by the Night Stalker. He's queued up a BKB next. Yuma looking in the same direction BKB-wise. So if they can get those items going, then you're going to see a pretty sizable power spike for them.
Yeah, and okay. Game will get resumed right here. But that's where I also think Yuma just doing a really good job, not greeting out, getting the Deso before the BKB. Once he gets BKB, we've seen this time and time again. Get BKB versus Tidehunter, the fight gets much more complicated. The game becomes about what can the opponents actually do to force your BKB, and then look for the engagement. And that's something that NoPing do have. The X into arrow play is something that is a massive threat for any core aside from the Storm Spirit, but it still allows for quite a lot of counterplay on your side. And it's been a consistent game for Devi specifically, but we haven't seen too many big magnetizes. We haven't seen the incredible 4 or 5-man silences that NoPing have to be very concerned with, especially the Kunkka and the Bloodseeker. That's why on their side, I think Dark Mago, he's still greeding out for this Radiance. He thinks he can make it work, but Angel is all business, going for the BKB as soon as he can.
BKB is going to be so important for both sides at this point, just to sort of control those teamfight opportunities, where and when you can push in. So is, well, making pretty solid progress on it. Maybe not any faster than any of the other players in the game right now, but we'll see how quickly he can pick that up, as Yudomi's going to get caught out. X into Torrent. They've got the arrow down there to follow it up, and Yudomi honestly is going to have to play this role pretty frequently. 2 and 6 right now on that Dawn. He's just going to have to be sacrificed in a lot of these scenarios, but you are still buying time. You're creating space for the rest of the cores to work with, so it is unfortunate, but it's just going to be the name of the game for the Dawnbreaker right now.
Yeah, and that's where I'll be honest, I don't know who it favors, because both cores right now are very poor at taking these objectives. There's no troll, there's no TA, there's no a hero that can really steamroll anything. We saw yesterday when DNM was on the Monkey King, the same story, where as much of a lead as you can amass, you're still not the best tower pusher, so there's never really going to be those big rotations to force one team back because you're afraid of the split push. Same with the Bloodseeker. You're always very afraid to show in these lanes until you get this BKB, so we might really see the game slow heavily down, especially if G2 Hustlers don't want to take a jab at this mid tower just yet, because they are waiting for a few of those really key important items. They might be too afraid to go for that objective without BKBs on both the Night Stalker and the Monkey, but Dark Mago.
Gonna try Dark Mago with no BKB. He's gonna get hit up immediately. That's just a big play. They do have to throw a couple of ults out there, but they will find the kill. Dark Mago's down. Now Panda is just going to get sort of trapped up in the middle here as well. He should be falling once the borrowed time wears off, and that is very nicely done by D2 Hustlers. They set the trap. This ward gets them the early vision on the Kunkka, and they scout out that he has not finished and is not really even working on right now his own BKB. So if he kept on going, they saw the opportunity, they take it, and now Devi, he's going to roll in onto Slade and looking to start a fight here. Oscar is making his way over. The Ravage will be deployed, but what else do they have? There's going to be the arrow to come out. The Bloodrite will be there as well. Even the Rupture onto the Earth Spirit. But, well, honestly, that feels like a lot to use to get the Earth Spirit kill. It's nice that they get it, and Angel is going to get a nice little boost up to his gold with the actual credit for that kill. So that helps towards the BKB. But now the Ravage is down. You've got to wait a little while before the NoPing are going to be ready to push out for another large-scale engagement.
Yeah, and the real benefit from them and what starts off that entire engagement is that you play in the top lane. You force NoPing to react to your aggression, and NoPing definitely got ahead of themselves there, as well as this fantastic ward scouting out that Kunkka, taking the long route towards that top tier 2 tower, and then the panic sets in. You have Oscar TPing in, his TP completes just as soon as the Kunkka actually ends up dying. And that's where, now that Ravage is off of the table, we might see D2 Hustlers with the rest of this nighttime go for that collapse onto the mid tower. And that's where heroes like the Bloodseeker really need to get this BKB done early, because you cannot take a successful team fight right now. And that's where maybe the greedy buildup on Dark Mago is continuously going to get punished, where maybe a BKB would feel a little bit stronger than this Radiance, but that's where both these teams are really playing for much later timings, and D2 Hustlers are finding the small openings that they're not even playing for. They're just falling into their lap.
They've been very sort of opportunistic, as you said. It's not like they're looking for this. You see Mr. Jeans is only sort of just now looking for that Orchid, but have been able to take advantage of what has come their way. Right now, though, needing to get everybody back in. A couple of DCs on their side. Yuma is back in, but we're waiting for Devi Lama now. But they are playing this one, I think, about as well as you could reasonably expect. They're still trailing net worth-wise, but I feel like if you start pushing any harder right now on the D2 Hustler side, you run the risk of maybe overextending yourself and getting into fights that may end up sort of backfiring on them pretty heavily. So the pace right now has sort of got to be enough for them, but we'll see if some of these cores like Yuma and Mr. Jeans can actually fully catch up to their counterparts over the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and there are some big items in the pipeline. You've got, again, double BKB Orchid. That's going to be your big moment for D2 Hustlers. And that's where, again, everything is going to come down to this Ravage. Oscar's going to have a blink pretty soon here, but something that NoPing haven't really been able to do is the same effect that D2 Hustlers have. Get this bottom lane all the way in, force someone to TP back, rotate. Look at how isolated Monster is. If he got ruptured into one stun, he would be dead. But instead, they're making the play elsewhere, and it's a good pick onto Yadomi, but it's the same pick that Yadomi is okay with giving you. I feel like right now a lot of the pressure that NoPing has been able to put onto the map has definitely been forced into a position where it's not ideally what they're going to want. And that's where a lot of these items, once they actually are going to get finished up, who is going to be able to actually take these massive team fights? And I can only imagine that D2 Hustlers are going to feel very confident with their position, especially with having the Night Stalker. You have all the vision in the world when it comes to picking and choosing your huge team fights. Where NoPing, they have a Ravage. They've got a Ravage and an Abaddon who's going to walk forward and look for those big engagements. Of course, if the Ravage does land, it should be a wash. But if it doesn't, these fights get so complicated for them.
Bye, Llama. Up on the high ground there, doing a little bit of scouting. No one there to see him at the moment. Meanwhile, they do get that Radiance online. Dark Mago's got it at the same time. The BKB finished off by Angel. So NoPing are getting some of those items up and running, but now Panda is going to get jumped in on, but does have the borrowed time. That'll keep him alive for a little bit. The arrow flies, doesn't connect on a bunch of anything, and now Dark Mago, he tries to push into the fight, but he pushes into the silence. He's in some serious trouble here. They've got to try and save him. Oscar trying to push in, but the Ravage not up for 5 more seconds. They need to wait. They need to keep Dark Mago alive. He is trying to get away for now as Mr. Jeans zips forward, can't catch him. Now the Ravage comes through. It doesn't hit, though, onto the Storm, but Mr. Jeans just doesn't really have a lot of mana right now. He's got to wait. He's going to try to push in anyway as Dark Mago will be taken down. And NoPing, this is really not the fight that they want, and they're going to be losing even more. Mr. Jeans picks up the double, taking down Sladen, and all the while, Angel, with no HP, just had to really cut and run. So, D2 Hustlers, it's a long and drawn-out fight, and it looked like initially they may not get the targets they wanted, but they're able to regroup and get back onto those major targets, and they at least bring the Kunkka and the supports down.
And yet again, I feel like we're seeing cores feeling pressured to fight into the monkey ring. Angel goes in, tries to go versus Yuma, and quickly realizes that there is no longer a place for him in that space. So he has to run out with the tail end of his BKB. He's very lucky that he actually didn't get clipped by the Boundless Strike. Yuma had him dead to rights, but it was just slightly mistimed. And that's where, again, you got the boat down, but when you had 500 HP left, and looks like Devi might be getting caught in the mid lane. Here's the arrow, though. Ooh.
Able to step in front. Arrow's off the mark, though, so maybe Devi can make it out. He's going to roll, but the blink from Oscar gets him in front, so Devi is still looking for a way out, and he's not going to make it. Oscar will bring him down, but that took multiple attempts before they were actually able to get it, but there was really no one else coming over, so I don't think they're going to lose too much due to the lack of efficiency, but Devi just trying to sort of make some space-creating plays, and it does buy enough time for Mr. Jeans to get this Orchid online. So now your Storm has quite a bit more he's going to be capable of in terms of aggression moving forward with that silence online.
Ooh, and they had a small opportunity there for possibly getting enough vision to make the jump onto Angel, but I don't think Mr. Jeans wants to risk it. But he has an Arcane Rune. With the map control that D2 Hustlers have been able to maintain, it feels like they are able to make a lot of these small plays that, again, are just kind of falling into their laps. They get exactly what they want, and with BKB now finished up on the Monkey King, you don't need to worry about that Ravage. You can place your ring even more aggressively, try to get it on top of the Kunkka, and that's where Dark Mago, as farmed as he is, and he is incredibly farmed for the second game in a row, he is still working towards this BKB, and we might see them be forced to give up a few more objectives here, especially with the smoke up. They're looking for the engagement. They're going to break on Pandaboo, though. Ooh, the Invis Rune.
Just able to keep himself safe, although the sentry does get thrown down, so now he's in some trouble. Borrowed time will be activated, but look at Devi. He's going to roll his way forward, but he actually rolls too far past, while Oscar blinks in for the Ravage, but Yuma was able to pop the BKB. Wukong's command now coming into play. Panda will be taken down. Angel, meanwhile, trying to sort of get himself onto Monster, who he ruptured earlier in the fight, but a lot of the rupture duration just gets sort of burnt away. They'll still find the kill, but now Angel doesn't have a lot of HP. He's got to try to fall back, but now Dark Mego will fill that gap, surging his way forward alongside Oscar, as they'll take down Monster, Yodomi, and Yuma. They get Divine Llama as well, as Oscar just shuts it down, and Angel, I mean, you saw him. He's just got the tiniest bit of HP thanks to that rum. He was sprinting on the periphery of the fight, trying to make sure that Mr. Jeans wasn't really going to be able to try and zip his way onto him, and NoPing.
He's going for it.
He's going to go. He's got it. Angel. Yeah, there's the tips from everybody, and
Ooh.
I mean, Angel did well enough to get out of there the first time, but Mr. Jeans sees a straight shot. He guesses at where he thinks that Bloodseeker will be by the time he arrives, and the math checks out. Mr. Jeans gets the kill, but that's still a teamfight loss for the D2 Hustlers side.
It's so good. It's so good from him. But also, you got to give credit to Dark Mego. 4-man Torrent saves the fight there. Angel is barely able to walk out there. He didn't even get any of the kills after that had happened, at least from the Thirst. And poor Yodomi. But this is starting to add up, though. You've got BKB now going to be on the table for Dark Mego. You're getting a lot of those items forced out. And okay, they're making the play. Arcane Rune.
I don't know if this is doable. They're slowly but surely making their way through him, but Panda's going to get into position. There's going to be the Aphotic Shield thrown down, and now the arrow comes in. They locked him down, Mr. Jeans. They just needed maybe 1 or 2 more seconds, and I think they would have had it, but the reinforcements arrive, and Mr. Jeans is the one who pays for it. But, well, they felt like they had to give it a try, and honestly, they were in a pretty solid position. As I said, they only needed maybe a moment or 2 more, but there you see the risk of it. There's no way that the Dark Mego Kunkka is really out there entirely by himself. You had a narrow window to take advantage of, and when you don't, the punishment is pretty severe.
Yeah, Essence Ring as well just makes it so impossible to actually get that kill, and he's got 3,000 HP. He is incredibly high level as well. He's already level 21, 25 minutes into this game. He really has been the big winner, and they're looking for Devi.
Able to jump
got
onto
the
him
Yules.
initially. There's the Yules to cancel the roll. Into the arrow to stun him up. He did throw down a Magnetize. That only hits onto Oscar, though, so damage-wise, it's not going to be great, and now the X pulls him into the torrent. But Yuma, that's an interesting Wukong's. Here comes Monster in as well, but everyone gets out of that, but now the Solar Guardian coming in. They want to turn this into a much larger fight. Divine Llama's even going to buy back to try and get involved in this, but they need to try and pick a target here. They will try and go for Dark Mego, but Kunkka's just going to pop his BKB, TP home, and, well, that, I don't know about that one. They're looking for Panda now as well. Maybe they can get this kill, but Angel coming in to get the gush down on Mr. Jeans. The silence, though, is big. Angel not able to drop the Rupture. He'll deploy it now. But at this point, Yuma and Monster are here, and Angel just sort of wandered into this one. The BKB will be activated, though. That should be enough to get him away, but he's going to try and turn around and fight. That's not a fight he can win, though, as Angel will die. Panda falls as well. Oscar now trapped up. He has no mana for the Ravage, so he's going to be taken down as well.
Oh.
And NoPing, I don't think they needed to really take that engagement at all, but they get kind of baited into it by the nice play from D2 Hustlers, and that just goes so strangely, especially Angel there. The BKB was activated. I'm not entirely sure how much he thought he was going to get. Maybe if you get the kill, then he can heal himself back up, but that's a pretty big risk to take, and it doesn't work out for them. It leads now D2 Hustlers into the Roche Pit, and NoPing have to wait out some of these respawns before they can really contest it.
And it's entirely Oscar's fault. It doesn't have enough mana for the Ravage. He's been spending a little bit too much. He's been trying to get those gushes out, and now this is a really awkward engagement. They've got BKB in 1, so just need to be careful here. This could be a bait.
It's the BKB. Monster, though, is continuing to chase with his own BKB active while Yuma is trying to wait out the Wukong's command. Dark Mego still standing on the front line, but your teammates are not up for 10 seconds. This is not exactly a situation where they can afford to stand up front, but now they're going to get jumped in on. Mr. Jeans jumps under the tier 2 tower. They're going to go in for the Wukong's command. Dark Mego, well, he does have that ghost ship up now. He'll throw it out onto Monster. Monster is not actually going to get hit by it, but the rum buff is going to be there, and now the reinforcements have arrived. Angel is in. Oscar's here as well. Look at how damn fast Angel is. He is going to run down this kill onto Monster. Or maybe not. Okay, there we go. The Blood Right will handle it. So he's going to clean that up. Dark Mego, meanwhile, finishes off Divine Llama, and, well, I was a little bit concerned with just how much damage Dark Mego was taking, but he knew the limits. He knew how much he could take. He knew the respawn timers of his teammates were ticking lower and lower, and on the D2 Hustlers side, they just stick around a little bit too long, and with the losses they sustain, they now can't contest Roche.
Yeah, it is both teams really hard overextending, and I think Dark Mago really smart from him. He waited so long to cast his BKB. He was really relying on Pandaboo to get him out of a lot of those sticky situations, and you kite the fight away from Roche. You let your teammates respawn, and I think it's a really appropriate BKB TP out from Yuma. He knew the fight was already lost at that point. And unfortunately for them, it is now going to be Angel who can go absolutely wild. He doesn't have to be nearly as afraid anymore, and he can actually afford to stick on the heroes that he actually ends up rupturing. But that's also where, if you get this boat off, the fight completely changes. If you can kill Dark Mega before it goes off, he is a massive target. He doesn't have his AC yet. He went for so many greedy items before. He's going back for it now. The problem is, with this Aegis, it's a farming Aegis. You're going to be able to roll a lot of these objectives for free because G2 Hustlers can't afford to play into it. And now that they have this Aegis, it feels like the next daytime is going to be brutal for them. The amount of plays that Hustlers are going to actively want to make are just minuscule. They have really missed a lot of their timing now, and a lot of this control is now going to be forfeited to NoPing, which gives them so much time to get a lot of these surplus items, and the game gets much scarier. Now you've got double halberd to work with. There's going to be a basher on Angel, and we've seen this matchup a lot of different times. All it takes is one bash, and then suddenly your Storm Spirit, who has no defensive items, is taken out of the game, and Storms usually don't play around buybacks. The game can very quickly end after that.
Yeah, honestly, maybe a little bit surprising that the Storm hasn't gone for anything defensive right now. You see the Aghanim Scepter being worked on, so AoE Vortex would be useful, but that's only if you're the one who's able to sort of jump in, and you have to jump in once the fight has already sort of gotten started. Need NoPing to sort of group up and then make that counterplay, but it gets a little bit complicated, because if NoPing are grouped up, then D2 Hustlers are probably grouped up, which means the Ravage comes into play at some point, and your Storm has to time his zip perfectly, otherwise he's getting clipped by that Ravage, and then he's just kind of shut down all the same. So so much has to go right. They're going to go for it, though. There's the jump in. They get the Vortex onto two. Angel and Dark Mago both dropping low. There's going to be the Solar Guardian coming in as well for the stun, and Angel losing his first life right away. But now Monster, he's disarmed on the backline. He is still acting as that distraction, though. Devi is going to roll forward to try and help him out. And there's that Ravage coming in, hitting up onto three. They're going to get Monster with the Rupture as well, so he is not really able to move. He's just going to look for the TP home. And he is able to make it out, but that leaves Yodomi sort of stuck in the middle of the fight. Ghost Ship connects, Arrow comes through as well, but where's the follow-up damage right now? They need to try and go in for some of these kills. They are dishing out some damage, and that is going to be enough to bring Yodomi down, but Yuma is still fighting. Mr. Jeans is back up to full HP and mana. Devi Lama, meanwhile, rolls in, gets the kickback onto the Kunkka, so all of a sudden, this Kunkka's in some trouble. There's no BKB. He's pulled back in by the Vortex, but that's a nice Blood Right coming in from Angel, silencing up everybody. Dark Mago is trying to fight his way through this, but Mr. Jeans continuing to zip his way forward. They will get Dark Mago, but now those bashes are coming in. Mr. Jeans has to get away. He's able to create the separation. Angel, though, well, he is so fast with the thirst bonuses, goes back in. Another bash comes in. Mr. Jeans dropped low, taken down, but Angel has to re-engage here as well, so his HP is ticking down. The Urn might actually kill him, and it will. The Urn damage is enough to finish him off. Oscar will get one kill onto Devi, but now he's got to deal with Yuma. Panda, though, back into the fight. Drops the shield in the coil, so Oscar's not dead yet, but Yuma continuing to chase, pushing his way forward. Can the Tide somehow juke him? Needs to wait for the blink. And he will be able to blink himself out from the Boundless Strike, so it looks like NoPing will get away with the Tide, but that fight just gets so convoluted, AT. There's so many sort of ins and out there between Mr. Jeans and Angel, but at the end of the day, well, NoPing are still in the lead here, and they don't really lose any major objectives.
Yeah, and they lose the fight pretty convincingly with the Aegis on Angel. I almost feel like you would have wanted it on Dark Mago just because of how much he's tanking for you, but it also feels like if he doesn't have it, then Angel does just go down at the beginning of the fight, and then you have an absolute disaster on your hands, but not able to do anything in that Ravage is the big problem. They were just continuously giving the Jingu stacks over to Yuma, and Yuma is healing up so much. This is his Deso timing with the level 20 as well. It felt like there were 3 or 4 moments where Yuma is able to get those multiple hero boundless strikes, and the fight gets impossible. There was a moment in that fight where Angel tries to walk into the Monkey King. He doesn't have ring, he doesn't have BKB, but he has Jingu stacks, and he's not stunned. So he wins those fights every single time. You're going to need to see a few more items coming out for this Bloodseeker before this matchup can actually be 50-50, because right now, there's no way for Angel to stick onto anyone. That's why in a lot of these engagements, he's been trying to find his pick on the Monster, which has been working out for him when he can kite out the Monkey, but in that fight, they lose track of themselves for a few moments, and Yuma is just able to run absolutely wild. Losing Pandaboo first is also really rough for them. It just means they have to spend everything in the first 20 seconds of that engagement, where they should be able to get away with just an aphotic shield. Instead, they have to pop their BKBs. So the next fight going forward, NoPing really have to do a better job of getting that infrastructure down and not giving them all the vision in the world. It's something that D2 Hustlers with this Night Stalker have done a really good job of, but they have to protect their supports a little bit more.
He is going to get spotted out here. That arrow will not connect, but they've still got the numbers to make this happen. But Monster
big fight, though.
Pop the Ascension. They want in. Mr. Jeans zipping his way forward. Two-man Electric Vortex, but there's going to be the Ravage to counter it out. But at this point, NoPing are already trying to get out of the ring, so that Ravage just isn't going to do a whole lot for them outside of allowing them to regroup. But look at Oscar. He's still taking the damage. Divine Llama now rolls forward, throwing down the Magnetize. Panda's dropping low. Panda will be taken down, and now there's no one to help the Tide. He's just going to have to try and get out on foot, but they actually want the more valuable kill. They're trying to push in. They don't get directly onto Angel, but they'll at least take down Sladen, and Mr. Jeans, I think he's still got the mana, continues to push forward. Angel will be taken down. Oscar, meanwhile, can he actually TP out? Yes, he can, but I mean, that's just horrible. They really can't do anything. Once that Wukong's command is deployed, they have to clear out right away, and Oscar, he feels pressured to use that Ravage to get his teammates out, but if you use the Ravage to allow them to get out of the ring, now you don't have any way to really get back into that fight outside of Dark Mago, who wasn't really there.
Yeah, and again, it's just Mr. Jeans zipping in. He finds the zip. It forces his opponents to be so scared of him. And Dark Mago made no effort to get into that fight. He was solely focused on finishing off his AC, and unfortunately, I think Yudomi might be the tax here. It was really well baited from him. He was actually able to do a lot for his teammates there. And can they stay on Monster for another 5 seconds? I think he's just going to BKB TP if he actually feels like he needs to.
Yeah, there it is. Now the X goes down. He decides now is the time to just clear out. So, NoPing, they're just not really able to find a whole lot here. That lead continues to sort of slip through their fingers as every engagement, the two Hustlers are just sort of outplaying them that little bit more. And as you said, that time around, Yudomi has to be the tax, but they don't care. If the Dawnbreaker has to sort of go down again, then it gets everybody else out, and the 3 kills that they were able to pick up in exchange is going to be more than worthwhile.
Yeah, and that's where you wonder if D2 Hustlers were really baiting their opponents hard there. It did feel like there was no way for NoPing to know about how big of an engagement they were actually starting, but it's also just the perfect response. Mr. Jeans getting the Vortex early, forcing out the early BKBs. It just feels like every single time he's hitting a 2 to 3 man Vortex, it gets that panic response out of NoPing, and they're spending their big cooldowns a lot sooner in the fight, where if Angel is forced to use his BKB in the first half of these incredibly long team fights, there's no longer a Bloodseeker that can actually right-click. It just feels like he is so bound to this cooldown, and he hasn't been able to actually use it very effectively. Same with Dark Mago. He hasn't really been able to show up in a lot of these fights, and he hasn't, so he's been focusing on his own farm, but you can farm as much as you want on this Kunkka. If you're not able to convincingly take these team fights and output the damage, it's why I think he's going for the heart right now. He's just trying to outlive the Storm's mana pool at this point, and that's where a hero like the Monkey King is going to be brutal. Full Scotty on Yuma as well. The Roche is going to redirect the entire flow of this game, but it really is who is going to be more ready for this big Roche fight, because that's where the game is really going to be way more decisive.
And in that vein, sort of itemizing for these fights, look at the Earth Spirit. Divine Llama, with the extra GPM from the Philosopher's Stone, he's got a BKB, he's got a Shiva's Guard, he went for the Veil of Discord pretty early on, so between that and the Magnetize, he hits hard. You saw him ping out, I think, his own damage in that last fight. He did about 1,700 to the Bloodseeker by himself, so
Ooh.
Boy, if he can get into
The
position, that would be big, but they want Mr. Jeans. They
Jeans?
spotted him. There's the Ravage at point-blank range. They got him with the arrow. That's going to be Mr. Jeans taken down. Massive kill to start off the fight. Yuma, though, does still come in with that Wukong's command, but it looks like NoPing are going to be able to get themselves outside of that ring, and now the Ghost Ship fleet kind of coming in there as well, I believe. So Yudomi gets taken down. Monster, though, able to find 1 kill, but once the BKB wears off, he's got to be so careful. They do need to fall back. Angel is still trying to chase, and I don't really think he can do it anymore. The Thirst bonus has sort of worn off on him, so...
And look at this. 2 waves. Angel.
They're going to push in. Angel needs help. Panda's going to try to come over, healing him up as best as he can. Will it be enough, though? No. Angel will still fall. And now, well, what else can they do? They get the X into the torrent. Yuma tried to pull some shenanigans there with the mischief, but he does still get yoinked back in. And if they lose Yuma here, that could be absolutely massive. But look at that boundness, just up to full HP. And now it's going to turn. Now all of a sudden, NoPing are the ones who have to try and hold their ground, as you do see Oscar and Dark Mago still at respectable amounts of health, but they don't have any more lockdown. The X-Torrent combo had already been used. The Ravage very clearly not available, but they're still trying to make something happen here. Pushing up to the high ground, and, well, they'll at least get the tier 3 tower, but that was a little bit cloudy there. Yuma was in danger, but he knows if I can just get this boundless, I'm going to be perfectly fine.
And that would have been at least 2 racks. You had no buyback on Storm, no buyback on the Monkey King. If he goes down there, this game looks so much different. But it's also Angel walking ahead of his teammates. He was so far away from the Abaddon, from the Tide. You have these halberds. There's a Monkey King without BKB. You should very simply just get halberded up, and there's nothing you can do. But instead, he walks ahead of his support, and what is a really hard TP for Yuma to make, because it feels like he should just be cutting the waves. He shouldn't be able to take that fight. They get the little pick onto Bloodseeker, and then the game, which should be much more difficult for D2 Hustlers, is now back to even, more or less. And even in their favor, there's no Ravage, and there's no Bloodseeker.
There's Mr. Gene zipping in. They're going to try to take out that support right away. The borrow time, though, does come through. Ghost Ship Fleet's now going to fly in as well. That's going to disrupt this a little bit, but I think Panda is still going to get taken down here, as he will fall. They are trying to get onto Dark Mago now as well, but the Kunkka will pop the BKB and fight, but now Yuma comes in. That is a maxed out Wukong's command with the extra ring, so it takes a little bit longer for NoPing to clear out, but they will be able to do so. But now Mr. Jeans makes his move, pushing back in the Vortex onto 2. Angel now tries to join the fight, throwing down the Rupture, but it's just not going to be enough. They don't have the damage. Dark Mago will fall. Now Angel has to try and get himself out of here as well. The BKB is only going to last for another second or two, and I don't think he's going to make it far enough away. Devi will roll forward. They don't connect. But now Oscar back in, drops the Ravage onto 4. But the Vortex actually came in first, so they do still have some heroes locked down. They finish off Monster, but they still can't deal with the Storm Spirit, who continues to zip his way forward, looking for the silence onto Sladen. Wasn't able to finish off the kill, though, with Oscar stepping in the way. But I'm not really sure how much they can do here. Angel still needs to try and heal himself up, and he's not in a great position to do so at the moment. So they might just have to let these heroes go. Oscar doesn't want to, but doesn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, that is such a good buyback from Oscar. He absolutely saves the game right there. If Angel goes down, doesn't get the heal from Monster, he dies in that Zip Storm. Mr. Jeans is doing such a good job at getting his opponents in these terrible spots, though. And again, they can't fight into the Monkey King. They need to force out his BKB. They need to force out the ring. Then they can look for those engagements. But now that Yuma's 25, you saw how split that fight got. Oscar and Dark Mago got pushed so far away from their teammates that supports are basically up for grabs. And then it's all matter of whether or not they're actually to get on these heroes. But okay, this is an early ring, but will it secure Roche?
It's dropping low, and if NoPing want to contest, they've got to push into it. Sladen's going to try to give it a go, though, but he immediately gets hit up by that Vortex. They'll lock him down. Sladen falls. Yuma gets the Aegis, and now Panda, he is almost certainly going to be dying here as well. Silenced up, trapped in the river, and he will fall. Now Angel cannot afford to get caught here. Trying to use the Flicker to create that separation, and it looks like he will be able to get out, but that's an attempt from NoPing that I think you need to see them attempt, but it's just unfortunate they don't get it, and their 2 supports are down for quite a while. At least the Mirana has buyback just in case there's some sort of push here from D2 Hustlers, but right now, they're actually going to be losing one. You know me? Once again, playing the part of the Sacrificial Lamb. He actually dropped the gem here as well, I believe, so Dark Mako's going to be able to pick that one up, but honestly, that really doesn't even feel like that much of a loss. Sure, you do lose that detection, but still got the sort of Aegis play to work with here for that Monkey King.
Yeah, and it just means that if you're actually able to march all the way up to NoPing's buildings, we can actually see them finally get aggressive on some of these towers. It's something that D2 Hustlers haven't really had time to focus on just yet, but they've also done such a good job of playing around the day-night cycle when it comes to this Night Stalker. I feel like every single time they find these massive team fights, it's always in a situation where Monster has the Dark Ascension or it's just about to be nighttime, so it never feels like Monster is a useless hero. It feels like they're definitely working NoPing into these positions where all of their members feel impactful, and at the same time, NoPing, they have a small opening here. They've got maybe a 2-minute window where they can try and force something during the day cycle, but it feels like with this Aegis, it's going to be yet again another farming Aegis where these very powerful late game heroes are going to be able to finish off even more items. Not to mention, Mr. Jeans picked up the aesthetics cap. So for what little lockdown NoPing have, if he's able to squeeze out with just this neutral item, it's going to feel so bad for them. He's already been able to squeak out of a lot of these fights. And when he's able to run wild, he's still hitting those 2-3-man vortexes. It's just so impossible to deal with.
Yeah, if he just can get away with not needing a defensive item, although in his defense, he is still building a BKB. That is probably for the best, just because that Ravage is still going to sort of be something that can work against him. But if you can hold that BKB throughout this fight, that's a theme we've seen consistently in this series. The side that can sort of hold those BKBs for the longest is the one working with an inherent advantage. So Storm is going to have a little bit more to work with there. Meanwhile, for NoPing, I mean, what is the call for them? Angel's working his way towards a Scotty. That could certainly be useful to try and limit the Monkey King's mobility and lifesteal, but I don't know. I don't know if that really makes Angel durable enough himself. We've seen in a lot of these fights, the Bloodseeker has to try and back off, and in a fight that takes place somewhere where he's not close to a quick creep camp that he could sort of heal up off of, he just kind of gets bullied out of the engagement altogether.
Yeah, that's where the core matchup is definitely feeling really bad. And I don't think there is an item for him to close up the gap. I think the rest of the game is going to be NoPing trying to force out these big spells, rip the spells out of D2 Hustler's hands, and then looking for the engagement after the fact. The problem is their forcing tools are really minuscule. They have X Arrow. That is their tool that makes D2 Hustler say, do I need to actually BKB this or can I wait for something else? And that's where Mr. Jeans has always been there with the counter initiation. NoPing need to make a 2 to 3 minute long fight happen for them to actually get the circumstances. They need to find a Night Stalker without Dark Ascension, a Storm Spirit without mana, and a Dawnbreaker without Soul Guardian, not to mention the Monkey King at all. If the Monkey King is able to get any spell off, they have to immediately retreat. The team fight is just so difficult for NoPing. And of course, they still have their structures. They still have a lot of big openings in this game, but it just feels like for them to take one of those big decisive fights, you're going to see those incredibly long engagements come out.
I do like this play from Dark Mago, though. We mentioned earlier he was looking towards the heart. He has sort of changed his mind, got the Shiva's Guard, and the Aghanim Scepter is being queued up after that. So Shiva's, a Torrent Storm being thrown in the middle of the fight, that can help sort of draw that engagement out, maybe make more of those forcing plays to draw the BKBs from the D2 Hustlers heroes. If their initial sort of jump in gets broken up by something like the Torrent Storm, then yeah, you're faced with either do we pop the BKBs or do we just sort of back off here? So it's not a perfect solution, but I think it's really the best that Dark Mako is going to be able to do given the current circumstances. So just trying to be that guy for his team that can maybe break up the momentum on their opponent's side.
And to that same point, I would love to see the Shard picked up on Dark Mago. I think Shard plus buyback would almost be as effective as the Aghanims here, just because you need to force your opponents to pop their items and their spells early. If you can get something on cooldown before you actually want to start the fight, NoPing's lineup is so built at getting out of these engagements and being tanky, but it feels like just the Storm Spirit has been the one starting these engagements and forcing the reaction out of view, especially Angel. Angel has to pop so early in mid.
They jumped him.
Okay, Dark Mago.
Mago's going to get hit up. The BKB has not come out yet. He will pop it now. Trying to get out of that ring. Look at the damage he takes, though, just from Yuma and those sort of stone soldiers. So, I mean, yeah, he's able to get out. That's a big play there, but that's the BKB down. It's already down to its lowest duration, though, so I'm not sure that matters too much outside of the cooldown. But if you're NoPing, at least you fall back. And Angel wanted to point this out as well. You talked about them maybe needing more lockdown. He's building his way towards a Hex. So the Scythe of Vice play from the Bloodseeker onto maybe a Storm Spirit, who hasn't actually purchased this BKB yet, that could potentially be a game changer, but that's what NoPing needs. They need ways to draw out the fights, ways to sort of lock down these opponents, their lineup. If you don't have some or as much lockdown as you need built in, just honestly try to buy your way to that level.
Yeah, and he bought out for it. If he dies, it's more or less going to be at least 2 racks. It's going to feel really bad if he actually gets picked off here, and that's where D2 Hustlers, they're moving as a unit. They're trying to catch off a hero that feels like he can hit this tower. Mr. Jeans. No
Jump in,
BKB.
there's the Vortex. BKBs don't come out, but the Ravage from Oscar, it's perfect. It just catches out everybody, and now they're going to try and fight this one out. Yuma, he doesn't have the Wukongs for a few more seconds, so they're going to try for it. Oscar gets a second Ravage out, but, well, it's just not enough. They just don't have a lot of damage right now. Angel is getting absolutely annihilated on the back end. He just keeps on ending up getting isolated from his teammates. He will now fall. Now the Wukongs will be deployed, and NoPing have to fall back with whoever's still alive, and as of right now, looks like that's just going to be Sladen and Dark Mago. That goes pretty poorly. And Angel, I don't know. I mean, the BKB at the start when the zip-in would have, or was initially happening, would have been big for him, but he just gets too far away from his teammates every single time. It's not entirely his fault. D2 Hustlers are pushing him in that direction, but they just can't maintain that cohesion with their lineup.
Yeah, and it just keeps happening. Slane's going to be fine here. Mr. Jeans just has a regen rune. He's playing with his food right now, but it is still a massive problem. Dark Mega was not able to get into that fight at all, and now they're level 25 on Monster. This Dark Ascension is really only a 20-second downtime, so you're able to play that much more aggressively, and when you pop it, you get 190 damage. You are another core now, where NoPing, it feels like they're severely lacking cores that are actually able to do something. Oh,
the roll in from Device going to set it up to get the silence down. The BKB still up, not up for 10, so this Kunkka, he's going to get jumped in on. Can Dark Mega get away? For now, yes. That ghost ship is going to be able to save him, but well, that just leads D2 Hustlers in onto a high ground push, but the Glyph will be deployed, so they are falling back, but Dark Mega,
no Aegis.
pushing his way forward just as Yuma runs out of time on that Aegis, so it does get reclaimed, but Yuma's going to fall back, and now Mr. Jeans pushes in. That Vortex doesn't hit onto any heroes, but they are still looking for the fight. The Wukong's command is going to be deployed. That's going to sort of break up everybody as Dark Mago dangerously low, but the Moonlight Shadow should be enough to allow him to fall back. He doesn't want to go all the way back to the fountain right now to heal, but at this point, I don't really think they can mount a defense, and he is not in a really battle-ready position. They're going to try for it anyway, but there's going to be Yodomi jumping in with the ult, and Dark Mago gets taken down, buying back immediately. Angel, though, going to work on the Storm. They're hitting him up with the bashes, with the Hex. The Silence, though, will not come in time, so Mr. Jeans is able to get away, but used all his mana to get out. Now he's in trouble. Eul Scepter locks him down. The arrow will stun. Sladen is able to find a secondary kill there as they got both the Storm Spirit and the Monkey King. Can they get any more? Monster is going to be a little bit too fast for them, and with Devi rolling out, I don't think they catch up to him either, but NoPing, I mean, they are getting insanely aggressive here. They just lost their middle lane of Rax, but they feel they have maybe their opponents on the back foot. Maybe they could take a fight if the D2 Hustlers heroes aren't willing to buy back, and if they are willing to buy back, then maybe we can force that buyback and then retreat ourselves, but we'll see what comes of this. Will the buybacks be deployed on that D2 Hustler side? NoPing honestly kind of need to wait for their creeps, which are coming, just not particularly quickly, or maybe they don't wait at all. They're going to try and push in, but the backdoor protection is going to make that a little difficult for them. They're still trying for it. Devi goes in, pops the Shivas, just trying to clear out as much as he can, but right now it's just not going to be enough. That's going to force the Glyph. Still no buybacks, though, from these two cores. They are holding on to them for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, Diamond Hands, they know that as soon as they buy back here, that is a win condition. They will play 2 racks down if they really need to. They are not going to present NoPing with the easy victory in this game, and they're even going for the counterplay onto Angel in the bottom lane because he is completely by himself, but again, this is space for top where you are now going to have to play 2 racks down. This is a lot of net worth, and they should be looking for the fight here. They need to grab people while the Monkey King respawns, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get him. Looking for Oscar.
Devi rolled in. They got the stun. Oscar, though, just going to quite literally walk that off, and now BKB TP from Dark Mago. He sticks around to finish off the racks and then makes his way home. So if you're NoPing, what a turnaround that was, really. You go from having your own high ground pushed, losing your middle lane of racks, to pushing in and claiming 2 on the opposing side off the back of, honestly, some pretty impressive plays there. From some nice stuns out from Sladen to sort of catch those 2 massive heroes in the Monkey and the Storm, and all of a sudden, ET, this game looks a little bit different from what we were looking at just 5 minutes ago.
The win condition still presents itself on the NoPing side, though. If you're able to get this Kunkka, if you're able to kill Dark Mago, the game will more or less end. But that's also where they did such a good job with so little. It was Sladen and Panda Boot and Dark Mago defending the mid-racks, making it take as long as possible, and Angel just being able to respawn. They really covered their teammate there. They were so obnoxious, and that's where the Ghost Ship fleet does feel like you can't kill Dark Mago. If he's able to get this spell done, it feels so obnoxious. It feels like there's no longer an opportunity for them. And now playing versus supers, NoPing are going to be allowed a little more of that vision that they otherwise wouldn't be able to take. It's a nice scan from D2 Hustlers, identifying that their opponents are literally sitting on their high ground right now. But that's also where if they get anyone here, there isn't that easy win condition. It's not like they can kill Mr. Jeans and then suddenly win the game. There is that buyback available to him. But that's where Roche, it's going to be the same redirect. Who's going to be able to take the Aegis? Who's going to be able to force their opponents? That was close from Angel in the mid lane. If he gets that Hex, that's the beginning. But there's still a long road ahead for NoPing. The only reason they're able to kill the Monkey and the Storm in the mid lane is because they got at least 2 out of the 5 objectives they need to, where there's no ring, there's no Aegis. It's still a very long path for them to win this game.
Now, Tome's up in 25. Sladen's got it queued. He's close to his final talent, so if he can get that sort of multi-arrow talent, then all of a sudden D2 Hustlers are going to have to be quite a bit more careful. But for now, they're just going to go straight into the Roche pit, and they're actually going to be able to get this. NoPing straight up would not get here in time no matter what. So Roche will be taken. Yuma's going to be able to get his hands on the Aegis. He grabs the Aghanim's Blessing as well, and I believe it was, yeah, the cheese goes into the hands of the Storm. So D2 Hustlers gearing up here. They're now looking for the fight. Can they catch up to anybody? Honestly, they just need the vision, and then the Storm can maybe do the rest as they get in onto Oscar. Going to try to silence him up here initially as well, keeping the Ravage off the table, but there's going to be the heal out from Sladen with those Guardian Greaves. They're still trying to fight. Davai Lama, meanwhile, got hit by the Rupture. The Ravage now comes through. The Storm was able to dodge it, but Davai Lama not quite as fortunate. He is dropped low, taken down. Now they get that Abyssal Blade stun onto Monster. They are rapidly burning through his HP pool in that tree line, and they will take him down. Now the Storm, though, zipping in. There's going to be the Vortex, but Oscar goes for another Ravage. It only hits onto Yodomi, though, because the BKBs were active on the other 2. But I'm not really sure they're going to be able to do this. Now the arrow comes out from Slade, stunning up Yuma. Mr. Jeans, though, still zipping in. They're looking for Angel, but with the Aphotic Shield down, he's still not dead. Turns around, looking for the Hex, but as he turns around directly into the Boundless Strike. Angel will fall. They take down Sladen and Panda as well. Now they're trying to get on a Dark Mega, but there's where the BKBs will come into play. Sladen wants back into the fight. Triple arrow coming through. Mr. Jeans gets clipped, taken down. Yuma stunned as well, but the Boundless is going to be deployed. They're trying to get this Kunkka. Can they finish him off? If Dark Mega falls, that would be absolutely disastrous for them. Still getting away, but Mr. Jeans back into the fight, trying to zip his way forward. Dark Mego still not dead, though, as he'll make his way back into the base. And now, all of a sudden, if you're D2 Hustlers, you've used quite a lot of your resources. The Aegis gets used, you use a couple of buybacks on your other 2 cores, and you still didn't really get what you wanted there. They'll take the tier 2 tower. Now they have a chance to push the high ground again, but they've got to be insanely careful. Angel has money for buyback. The Kunkka is healing up in the fountain, and they may look to go. Oscar, however, he doesn't have any Ravages to deploy, so this is going to get a little bit complicated, but they're in onto Yuma. They got the Hex. They get the Silence down as well. If they can find this kill, it'd be massive. There's Yodomi trying to commit the Solar Guardian, but it's not going to be enough. Yuma dies. Now he'll buy back as well, but Davai actually got bashed up. He'll be hit now by the Rupture, and he is just going to have to TP home. This fight is getting unbelievably messy as Yodomi will fall. And if you're D2 Hustlers, it's time to go. They have just got to get the hell out of this fight. Angel trying to track them down, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch up. And NoPing, well, for a moment there, it looked rough, but Dark Mego is able to survive to get Angel back into the fight, and that really is a massive turning point for them.
It's just Pandaboo just carrying his team, getting Dark Mako out there. So many shields, so many coils, so many force staffs, as well as Mr. Jeans. He missed on his right click. The Heaven's Halberd, the missed chance. He wasn't able to finish off the Kunkka. And now you talk about win objectives. There are no buybacks right now. It's all about this last team fight. Whoever wins, you got double Ravage in 13 seconds. You've got nothing else here. Anyone who goes down is going to be massive. And the only person with a buyback, ironically, is the only person who is dead. But this is where, are you going to have enough save? NoPing are immediately able to get aggressive on their opponent's side of the map. We're either going to see everyone freeze for the next 5 minutes, or NoPing go for that Hail Mary play where if they hit a double Ravage onto these heroes where they're unable to get their BKBs off, we could see this game end very quickly for either side.
Uma just bought himself a Refresh Orb, so there is the potential for this sort of double Wukong's play.
Here
He's
we
gonna
go.
throw the first down. Mr. Jean zips in. They've caught 2. There's no BKBs out just yet, but can they get anybody? They're going to try to go for Panda first, but the borrow time will be popped, so instead they'll shift their focus on the Dark Mego, but he's not going to die. There's Oscar in, dropping the Ravage, connecting a second Ravage coming out, just keeping the entire lineup sort of pinned down, but Yuma was able to get the BKB off first, so he continued to charge his way forward, but they're only going to get Panda in that exchange. However, it's enough to push NoPing back. They did not get the final lane of Rax, but I don't know. On the one hand, you used the double Ravage. On the other, you used both of your Wukongs in that fight too. It's a much shorter cooldown, but D2 Hustlers may be a little bit hesitant now to push out without some of those abilities, and no Roche for 4 more minutes. So as you said, this may be the moment where we kind of freeze and wait this one out for a bit.
Yeah, it's just looking at the buybacks, and of course, NoPing will have more buybacks available to them, as they're going to have 3 if they really need to, but not having anything on Angel, it's still the danger zone. It's still going to be terrifying to play, especially into Monster, who's constantly going to be scouting out with the Dark Ascension, even picks up the Shadow Blade, so that way he's able to do his job just that little bit more efficiently. He's constantly going to be looking to take away the eyes on the NoPing
Oh,
side,
Dark
but
Mago.
Dark Mago,
Sound
he's got
stop.
by.
No BKB yet. 5 more seconds. Can they bring him down in time? The arrows will fly through. It's going to stun up maybe 1 or 2, but there's the 4-step getting the Kunkka away, or maybe not. Mr. Jeans comes in. Divine Llama's going to roll his way forward as well. So this really is turning into a bigger fight than I think NoPing wanted, just because they're trying to get the Kunkka out of here. He is desperately trying to outrun Monster, but Mr. Jeans is now getting involved, and they will find the kill. Dark Mago taken down, immediately buying back. Arrows coming out again. Once again, though, not really hitting the mark, but they did get the Hex onto the Storm. They're locking him down. They get the kill. Mr. Jeans will be finished off, and he actually has no buyback for 2 minutes. This is where things get very rough for D2 Hustlers. Just have to try and fall back. Sure, you get that Kunkka's buyback, but now the Storm Spirit is such an integral part of their team fight. Without him, not really sure if they want this, but it's going to be coming their way no matter what. Yuma, he's got 1 Wukong's command at least, but will that be enough? Because Mr. Jean's zipping in with that AoE Vortex, that is still kind of their secondary hit. You throw down the Wukongs and then you rely on the Storm to sort of get that lockdown, and they straight up won't have it.
Yeah, they can't fight about bottom racks anymore. Everything is about this actual ancient defense here, and NoPing are going to try for it, I think. They've got to. This is their best opportunity. It's a 5v4. There's only 1 Wukong's command. You've got double Ravage here, and this is where the pressure is going to come out in D2 Hustlers. Once Yuma uses this ring, we're going to see either the end of the game or D2 Hustlers making the immediate rebuttal play, but this is where everything is going to stall out. That's 1. He's got Refresher in 5, so this is going to be a long defense, but that's all they need. If NoPing can force out another one and reset, the game is going to end very shortly if Yuma can't defend his T4s.
While Sladen just continuing to throw those arrows out there, going fishing. If any of them connect, Oscar, well, the Ravage doesn't connect, but there's going to be the BKBs forced out. Still no Storm Spirit, and Tier 4 towers are starting to drop, but there's going to be another Wukong's coming into play. Yuma trying to turn this fight. Dark Mago, he's isolated from his teammates. They need to be able to try and save him. He is falling back for now, looking for the TP out, in fact, but a secondary Ravage in from Oscar, connecting onto everybody who's still alive. They're going to turn it around. They get the Abyssal Blade stun down onto the Monkey King. Yuma desperately trying to fight his way through this. Needs to bound the strike, but he's bashed up. He will go for it there, but it only hits onto the Mirana. He's not getting enough HP. He's going to get hit up by the Hex and taken down. Dark Mago, though, will be falling as well. He's gone for 2 minutes, but I think the heroes that remain are going to be able to clear it out. Angel firing like a damn machine gun to clean house. And I believe NoPing have just done it. No buybacks available. Everyone is dead. The Storm's back up in 5, so maybe there's some sort of miracle. Ancient is exposed, though, and it's dropping fast. So Mr. Jeans, he's got to go now. He's going to try for it. The Vortex is going to be there, but Oscar wasn't hit by it.
It's just over.
Yep. Valiant effort there at the very end, but it's NoPing who pull it out. That was a bit of a nail-biter on their part, but the high ground defenses 2-3 times, they're able to just sort of hold D2 Hustlers back, and at a certain point, D2 Hustlers use up their resources, and NoPing push in to close it out.
And it's all started by Dark Mago in the mid lane, baiting his opponents. He even uses his BKB on his first life. He doesn't save it for his second buyback, but as soon as he buybacks in, they get the kill onto Mr. Jeans. They string together the only kill that mattered, and that's where your win condition is take the Storm off the map. It's such a terrible position now for D2 Hustlers to be in, and one that NoPing just forced out. The past 5 minutes of the game, everything was forcing Yuma to use that ring, getting out of dodge, making sure that those abilities were kited out. NoPing played the kite game beautifully, and there was just not enough from D2 Hustlers. As soon as Mr. Jeans goes down there, there's really not a lot left that they can do. They tried the double ring. Yuma even dodges out the first Ravage with just Aghanim Shard Primal Leap, and it doesn't matter because they run out of gas in the tank. Dark Mago with that bait play mid, it really is the win. That's why they won, because Dark Mago forced Mr. Jeans to use all of his mana to kill him. They were very aware of his positioning, and they get the pick, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, it's just the later and later that game went, the more it was going to come down to one side had to be not even perfect with the execution. You just had to be able to string maybe back-to-back fights together in order to really turn it around, and that's what NoPing did. They got the fights, they got the kill onto Mr. Jeans there, and it all kind of turns around at that point. So it's rough for D2 Hustlers, but I'm sure they're not really happy with the way it goes down, but at least they fought that out to a pretty significant extent. That game went on for quite some time, and really right up until the end, they were still in a position where they could have won it.
Yeah, and really, if you look at NoPing and what they were able to accomplish in that game, the big fights that stand out, it's in the mid lane whenever it was just the three man. There was Dark Mago, Pandaboo, and Sladen defending that mid Rex, making it take so long to actually get anything. And then finally finding the two kills onto Mr. Jeans and Yuma that then turned the game around. It got them two racks. It made the game turn on its head, spin around a little bit. And then in the bottom lane, where if Mr. Jeans is able to connect with that zip onto Dark Mago, the game ends. Period. Right there. They spend 4 buybacks. There's no Dark Mago. The complete reversal happens, but it's Pandaboo and Dark Mago. They just played so well. They saved each other. They kept him alive for so long. If Dark Mago goes down during that dieback period, it is over for D2 Hustlers in the same fashion that Mr. Jeans going down was NoPing's chance to win. So what an incredibly close game.
Close game to cap off, honestly, what was a pretty fantastic series. I think the best one we've seen so far through 2 days here in the playoffs, but it is NoPing who will get the win. They advance to that upper bracket final. D2 Hustlers, meanwhile, not knocked out. They will be going down to the lower bracket. I believe they play, I think it's for Zoomers tomorrow afternoon. So they will have a second chance, but their run here in the upper bracket has come to an end. So that'll do it for the first series of the day. What a series it was. We do still have more on the schedule, though. Infamous versus Team Team is going to be coming up next as our second upper bracket semifinal. Before we get into any of that, though, let's take just a quick moment for a word from our sponsor. Thank you to our sponsor, N1Bet. You can deposit using digital wallets and cryptocurrency and bet on Pro Series 8 matches with N1Bet. You can enter code BTS Dota as well at bts.gg/N1Bet and get an exclusive bonus without any wagers. So thank you to N1Bet. Thank you to those of you using that bonus code as well. Although, if you bet on this game, you were probably having an accelerated heart rate for quite a lot of it. That one was pretty damn close. But yeah, thank you to N1Bet for providing that bonus code. And I am checking over here. I believe we are trying to get an interview going. Not 100% sure if we have that set up just yet, though. So we will step away for just a moment to confirm that, and we'll see whether or not that interview is happening. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. We are back, and we are ready now for our post-series interview. We have Pandaboo, aka Panda, of NoPing, here to talk with us after that 2-1 win. So just get him on in here. I have broken... There we go. I have broken the cameras. Good job, me. There we go. Able to fix it. Hello, Panda. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Hello.
All right. So, first of all, congratulations on the win. That third game, kind of wild. Very impressive performance for you and your squad.
Thank you. We didn't play well, but we won at least.
And I want to ask you, sort of right off the bat here, for you guys, you ran Dark Mago on that Kunkka really in all 3 games. It's one of his best known heroes, really. At a certain point, were you kind of surprised that it was still hanging around maybe in games 2 and 3?
Yeah, maybe. I think they were banning most offlaners and position 5. that we cannot flex. So they maybe forgot about the Kunkka. They thought they would play against it. We don't know, but we played it. And Darmago owns on the hero.
Incredible stuff. As we said, it's one of his best known heroes for a reason. Also, want to ask you, game 3 in particular, there. I actually have the graph up. You guys were trailing late in the game. Was it a feeling amongst you and your teammates where, you know, we can hold the high ground? If they push too far, we can punish them, things of that nature? Were you just sort of waiting for a timing to then push forward?
We're waiting for mistakes and for them to, waste their spells. Like waste a BKB or Storm goes too far and we kill him, so we can punish him. Feel like that. I mean, yeah, I thought we were gonna lose like 10 minutes before the game ended. I was like, the game's over for sure. We can GG out. But then they dove and died. And we are back into the game.
You guys were honestly able to hold that for quite some time. ET and I very much not surprised, sorry, but impressed with the sort of defensive strength that you guys showed off there. So very nicely done on your part. And ET, you got questions now for Panda as well.
Yeah, I've got a few. Well, of course, the beginning of this best of 3 series, I think the most apparent thing to both of us is this tiny hero. Do you think we're going to start seeing some teams actually ban it? I know in game 3, you guys finally banned it in the first phase. Do you think now that we're seeing a lot of teams looking for it, especially in that position 1 role, do you think this hero's here to stay?
Yeah, I think the hero is really strong. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of it in TI and
What
this
do you think is
tournament, of course.
like not consistent enough, I guess, to be in that TI battlefield? Or like we talked with Moo yesterday, do you think there's just something that everybody else has figured out already?
I think people are still learning the hero. That's why we didn't see it before. It's really good carry now, and we're gonna see it in this tournament and the next tournaments.
Okay, but you don't think it's going to survive all the way into October?
I think so. Yeah, it is.
Oh, you
It is.
think so? Oh, okay, okay. And then I guess to that same front, what do you think about Dawnbreaker? I think D2 Hustlers is one of the team that's definitely been experimenting with it the most, especially because of how many games Monster has on it. But do you think that that hero is also going to have a pretty big effect, especially on TI? Or do you think right now, especially, it's not in a good enough spot? I know a lot of teams haven't really been finding that success with it.
I don't know, to be honest. I think the hero is really good in lane. Uh, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
You
Don't have
think
so
we'll
many thoughts
see?
about the hero.
You think we'll see NoPing run it at all, or do you think it'll never really be tried out in your guys' hands, or maybe if
Every
somebody
time
else
I try
does it?
to play it, it's banned in pubs, so I never get to practice.
I see. I see. I mean,
And the
what can you
other
do?
day, I tried to pick it like 15 times. I was banned the 15 games.
I see. I mean, there's no scrims either, right? So it's really hard to actually get a good game going where you can test it out.
Test it out in a stream before practicing the hero. I just
Yeah,
wanna fit.
yeah, yeah. Well, so now, what do you guys think? Are you looking at your opponents going ahead in this tournament? Are you afraid of Infamous or Team Team? I know you guys have played a lot versus Infamous. They were the team that actually played versus you in the Lamiga League, I believe. Are they going to be your biggest opponents, you think, going forward in the tournament? Or do you think there's going to be some more swap ups, especially with Team Team going against them in just a few minutes here?
We're looking forward to play Infamous in the next round. I think Infamous gonna smash Team Team. I'm gonna say it right now.
You guys,
Team
okay.
Team,
All right.
Team Team doesn't have a chance.
Okay. There you go. The gauntlet's been thrown. I mean, I think it would be a really cool rematch as well because again, you guys want revenge, right? That for especially that best of 5 you just played, so it'd be really cool to see you guys go up again.
We wanna win the finals versus Infamous. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, you think you're all going to go all the way? Okay. I
Yeah,
believe it. Knock him down in upper bracket.
yeah. That's what Alon told me. We're gonna fight in the finals.
Okay. I mean, there's the declaration. There you go. So I'm really excited for the next game. That's awesome. I'm really pumped now.
So yeah, now Infamous, a little bit more in the way of expectations. It's not just about them, it's about the prediction being correct. So Panda, thank you very much appreciate you stopping by and having a chat with us, sharing some of your insights. And again, congratulations. You and your
Thank you,
team,
guys.
you earned it.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. So, once again, thank you to Panda for stopping by after, honestly, yeah, sort of rough game three. I don't know. A lot of the times after those games, it's mixed opinions. Either the players just want to not talk to anybody and go take a break, or the blood's pumping and they want to share as much as they can. Panda, thankfully, in that latter camp right now. So thank you once again. We'll see NoPing in the upper bracket finals a couple days from now. For now, though, it is time for that matchup that Panda was talking about. Infamous versus Team Team is just about ready to get underway. So we'll be taking a short break here to get that one set up, but the Game 1 draft will be coming your way in just a few minutes.